Hello everyone, welcome to another Professionally Unprofessional podcast. I'm once again Mr. Calvin Atkinson, joined by my very good friends Reese in the middle panel and Elliot on the right panel.
Hello everyone.
What up?
Elliot's got a new microphone.
So don't worry, my audio's not going to sound like shit for once.
So we decided that, based on Elliot's suggestions, that we would do a few more sort of podcasts around things we liked in gaming, rather than just waiting for every single new announcement or new set of trailers to talk about. So we decided we'd do some about consoles we liked for a starter, and we figured the Gamecube was a great place to start.
Yay!
So
Yep, Nintendo's first portable home console before the Switch.
because it's got the handle on the back.
Yep.
The Mewtwo of the Nintendo consoles.
One sec, actually. Give me a sec. I'm just going to put some headphones in just in case. The audio's coming through the mic.
So we don't call it Professionally Unprofessional for nothing. So GameCube is the first. It's the first console, I think. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, guys. I thought it was the first console in the UK from Nintendo where you could just go into a shop and buy it. There wasn't like a scarcity of it.
I don't know. You need to remember, I was only born in 97.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So, Reese, you're like 5 years younger than me. Do you remember the sort of around that time?
Everything goes to John Lewis, there was stacks full of them.
Yeah, it was not like NES. Forget it. It did not take off over here because Nintendo's business partners that were distributing the console buggered up completely with the distribution of it. Super Nintendo, I remember a lot of people had it, but it was very much seen as a luxury thing. It was, and there wasn't. You didn't just wander into a shop and find them like you did the Mega Drive. N64 was a little better, but even then, you didn't see as many of them lying around as you did PlayStations. So GameCube was the first time where I really think a lot of people had a lot of access to Nintendo in the UK.
And a lot of people probably didn't do that because most people were buying the PS2.
Well, yeah, the PS2, the free consoles of that generation. Are we counting Dreamcast as part of that generation?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, you can. It didn't sound anything, but
I mean, if you count Dreamcast, it's not, the GameCube isn't the worst selling of the consoles of that generation.
I mean, we count the Saturn in the N64 PlayStation era.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Dreamcast is that era, so yeah.
Even if it did only last for like 2 years.
Dreamcast definitely sold worse than GameCube, but GameCube, a lot of people forget, Xbox did outsell GameCube, but not by much. They didn't outsell it by that much. Why do you think GameCube wasn't the big seller? I mean, I certainly get why it didn't outdo PlayStation 2, but why do you think it didn't outdo Xbox as well?
DVD player, I'm guessing.
And also the Xbox was the most powerful console on the market.
Right, so if you're sort of like one of the... I also think there's something to do with the... this is going to be very divisive, but I'm going to say the edgelord factor played a part in this. You know, sort of like people think, oh, Nintendo's the kiddie console.
I guess it's around the time where like a lot of hardcore Nintendo fans are starting to grow up, so they want to go for the more mature console.
I definitely could see that.
It's kind of like what happened with Jak and Daxter, for example.
I also think a lot of the Sega fanboys were kind of divided at that time, because on the one hand, you had a lot of support from Sega going to the GameCube, but you've also had that long kind of resentment for Nintendo, taking a lot of the limelight away from Sega. So you might want to go to Xbox, who are also supporting Sega in a big way. They're making a lot of sequels to Dreamcast titles, particularly Shenmue and Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, and it was actually Microsoft who helped set up the internet capabilities for the Dreamcast as well.
Yeah, weren't Microsoft and Sega going to work together on a console at one time, and it just fell through, and that's what the Xbox kind of was.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not thinking of the PlayStation.
No.
That was Nintendo and Sony.
Yeah,
it's weird to think that the parallels happen. Nintendo, both Microsoft. The only reason Microsoft and Sony are in the game market are because Nintendo and Sega didn't work with them very well. It's weird
because of the massive boom that Nintendo and Sega had with the SNES and the Genesis / Mega Drive. They thought, we're too big to fail. We don't need to collaborate with anyone else. People will still buy our products.
And
in other words, the same attitude that PlayStation had with the PS3.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, no. Although slightly different than what PlayStation had with the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 was more, we will make our hardware as complex as possible, and therefore people will want to only work with us. Now, speaking of which, when it comes to the GameCube, how have you guys found, in terms of it's 20 years since that thing's released. Elliot, you've got a GameCube. How are the discs holding up now?
Sorry?
How do the discs hold up?
It's... Well, I still think that it looks great. The game's on that still look absolutely fantastic, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, but I recall that they broke... In my case, they broke a lot quicker than my PlayStation 2 games.
Not for me. Mine, all the games that I had from when I was a kid still work.
Yeah, there were a few of mine. There's quite a few of mine that I think still work. My copy of... I think... but I've lost most of my GameCube games. I think they're back at my old house in Derbyshire somewhere.
Right.
I honestly think someone's going to come across that house, and they're sort of going to look around, and they're going to find a treasure trove of rare GameCube games. So,
the problem I had with those small discs is that they scratched a lot easier than PS2 discs.
They definitely did. They did. I do recall they scratched a lot easier.
Again, I don't know how. Somehow all my discs are good conditions. Except for my Finding Nemo one. That one isn't in great condition. It still works though.
Well, that's a one for you. But that's kind of where we're... what do you... before we go into all the games, because they didn't sell well, what do you... Can you think of any other mistakes Nintendo made with the marketing of the GameCube?
I think personally that they did try to capture the more mature audience. Because a lot of their initial games did look a bit softer, a bit more kiddified. Whereas PS2 and Xbox went for a bit more gritty, realistic graphics like Call of Duty, Halo and everything.
One second, I'll get out the GameCube launch titles.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But while you're doing that, Elliot, is there anything you can think of where you think that's where the marketing failed? Because I have a bit of a thought about one of the areas where they failed.
I mean, part of the reason I think is just because, again, people were want to go for the systems with the better hardware, or just with the fact that I think PlayStation was a big factor into it. Because if you remember back in Scott the Waz's recent best-selling consoles of all time, Nintendo's systems have been going into a decline until the Wii came out.
Yeah,
that was definitely true. Like the N64 did not quite sell as well as they expected, and the other Game Boys had the Game Boy Advance hadn't quite sold as well as they had expected at that time. It did end up selling quite well.
Somehow it ended up only just. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it only. Actually, no. I think the PSP outsold it.
Yeah, the PSP did outsell the Game Boy Advance.
Out! How did that happen? Well, I knew so many people who had the Game Boy. I knew only one person who had the PSP.
2 people. I own one.
Well, the PSP was also the more modern system as well.
I also think it was again the PlayStation branding.
At the time, more gamers that are coming into the fold and playing games.
I think also what the belief was that this was going to revolutionise handheld gaming. Like Nintendo's done. Sony's outclassed Nintendo every generation. There's no reason to believe they wouldn't outclass them at the handheld department. And obviously, history has told that has not happened. Nintendo still rules the handheld market to such an extent. Sony has bowed out of it.
Okay. By the way, I've got the launch titles for for not Switch, the GameCube. At least I think these could just be the.
I know. The only one I know off the top of my head is Luigi's Mansion was a launch title.
Yeah. So, in Japan there was Luigi's. Well, these were the ones I think were launched exclusively in Japan. We didn't get these till later. Luigi's Mansion, Super Monkey Ball, and Wave Race Blue Storm.
Now, those all did launch in America, at least. I know, and and I know they launched over here with the console.
Really? Because it doesn't. Because give me a sec. There's a lot. I'll find a different thing.
I know Melee.
Because I know for a fact Luigi's Mansion was a launch title because Mario fans were pissed off that he didn't launch with a Mario game.
They had launched a Mario game in every console before. NES launches with Mario Brothers. Super Nintendo launches with Mario World. N64 launches with Mario 64. And then you've got the GameCube launches with Luigi's Mansion. And I think that was a bit unfair because Luigi's Mansion is a pretty good game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, actually, apparently. Yeah, actually, so yeah, I was wrong. So, shall I go with the American or the European one?
What were the American ones?
Slightly more games.
The only difference I think was in Europe they did launch with Melee, and in America it was a week later. But correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
I'm afraid to say you are wrong.
Oh, really?
So we got the reason why we got more games is essentially just because they got theirs in November 2001. We got ours in March 2002. I'm sorry, May 2002. So the launch titles for the GameCube are FIFA World Cup 2002, Batman Vengeance, Bloody Roar Primal Fury, Burnout, Cell Damage, Crazy Taxi, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2, Disney's Tarzan Free Ride, Donald Duck Quack Attack, Driven, ESPN International Winter Sports 2002, International Superstar Soccer 2, Luigi's Mansion, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, Super Monkey Ball, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Universal Theme Park Adventures, Wave Race Blue Storm, and XG3 Extreme G Racing.
So that was the European launch, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the US did got those same games, minus a few like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
I was going to say because I remember that one. Do you know one of the reasons I think it's an interesting launch actually? That one but you can admit if you compare that with like the PlayStation 2 launch and the Xbox launch, it didn't look as good as those ones. Which like Xbox is launching with Halo and PlayStation could have Metal Gear Solid 2 and Gran Turismo 3. There was a lot more pick-up title. There was a lot more you have to pick this up titles.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the reasons I think the GameCube might have failed, or might not have succeeded in the sales as much as it could have, is the fact it didn't emphasize multiplayer as much as it could have.
Yeah.
If you look at the N64, they were emphasizing multiplayer. They were emphasizing, look, here's why you need to buy as many controllers as possible. You've got the 4-player multiplayer. We're going to give you Mario Kart 64. We're going to give you Mario Party, the GoldenEye. All these reasons to want to play multiplayer.
Maybe they had the thought that they didn't have to. That they didn't have to or something. Like maybe they thought, they probably would have gotten the idea with the N64. They might have thought, we're not changing that with the GameCube.
I think the GameCube, which is a shame because the GameCube was great for multiplayer experiences.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Not that I got to do many of them because most people didn't want. Most people I knew didn't want to play GameCube. I must be honest. I was the only person in my entire school that had a GameCube. No one.
Honestly, same. Everyone else had a PlayStation, had PS2s. And saying this as someone who in primary school only really had one friend, he only really had PlayStation consoles. I only really had only really had Nintendo. So yeah.
Okay, so what about you, Reese? Did you know anyone who had a GameCube when it was a current console?
Yeah, but a few people had it. Mainly just play Melee.
Yeah, Melee was definitely the thing that drew... Melee drew a lot of people in. That coming out like a week after the console was a big deal.
Yeah.
Which emphasizes my other point. Which games did you guys... What was the first game you guys played on your GameCubes?
Mine was Rogue Squadron 2.
Rogue Squadron 2 for you, Reese?
I think mine was Mario Kart Double Dash, though it could have easily been Finding Nemo.
I know what mine one was. It was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Actually, it's kind of funny because, honestly, Finding Nemo was the entire reason I got a GameCube in the first place.
Wow, that's not...
The entire reason I got into video games, because I was obsessed with that movie when I was like 6 years old, and I wanted to play the game, so my dad got me a GameCube.
That's the first you will ever hear of that, folks. That's the first time you will ever hear Finding Nemo is the reason I got a GameCube.
The first and only time, yeah. Well, I mean, I was only 6 years old. I didn't really know that much about games. I think I had a Game Boy Color, which with only Snoopy Tennis. That's about it.
Oh, that's another thing that the GameCube had.
About say Game Confessions right here on the Unprofessional podcast.
Oh, that's what another great thing about the GameCube had. It had the Game Boy Advance player. Did you guys ever get that for your one?
No, I didn't. I still really want it.
It's a shame. Yeah, I got it first. For the first things I got, it's a bit annoying because you have to get a disc to work it as well. And so you get the disc, you put the thing, and I actually played Pokemon on my television quite a bit because of it.
Fire Red, was it Fire Red and Leaf Green or the Hoenn games? The
Hoenn games mostly. It was quite a while before the Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, but man, it was still a great experience playing those ones on the TV.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So
it's one of the things that makes me hope we still get a GBA Switch online service thing.
Can I kind of say I don't think that will happen? To be honest.
Yeah. I'm not holding my breath. It's just something I hope we do get at some point in the future.
I promise you, if I hear anything about GBA coming to NSO, I'll be the first to tell you that I've heard some good rumours. But at the minute, we kind of know where we're going with NSO. Although I would say, if later this month, from what I've heard, from people who really know what they're on about, Game Boy and Game Boy Color will still be coming to NSO, and possibly might be coming out this month.
What, really?
Yeah, what they reckon is some of them are saying, I've heard N64 and Sega Mega Drive are going to come alongside Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So
you think they would have said that in the direct then? But
from what I've heard, it's that they wanted to emphasize the expansion pass. They didn't want to draw too much attention to something that's coming to what is already on the subscription.
Yeah.
So that's, but again, I could be wrong. But the thing people I've been listening to have said, it will probably happen by the end of the fiscal year. So here's one for you. So here's a thing for you guys. So let's talk about those games. So Rogue Squadron 2, I played that one. That's a really good game.
Yeah, it's still one of the highest reviewed games as well for GameCube.
It is. It really is. It's like, did you ever play Rogue Squadron 2, Elliot?
No, I didn't. I've seen it a number of times in CEX. I've been meaning to get it.
Oh yeah, no, you'd really enjoy it. It's not quite as good as KOTOR, but it's a completely different game. So I think.
Yeah, is it like focused around starships?
Yeah, this was a time when they knew they could make Star Wars games, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about Jedi.
Yeah. But because all the PS1 games is always playing as Jedi.
It's even now. It kind of feels like there's such a focus on the Jedi.
That's because like when you really look at it, that's the thing most people really enjoy about Star Wars. They enjoy the lightsabers, they enjoy the Force powers. They're not that as bothered about things like the starship battles or the bounty hunters, for example.
Which is funny because if you look at the old fans from the old EU, that's what they preferred. All the spaceships and the expanded lore that came with it.
I've always found a Star Wars fandom to be a very interesting place to be. It's Elliot, the other one we know none of us have played Finding Nemo. What was the other one you reckoned it could have been?
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Now, Mario Kart Double Dash, I played a ton of that. That's fantastic.
Best Mario Kart game. I still love that.
Well, how would you rank it, Reese, in terms of Mario Karts?
It's definitely that. I would still put it a bit lower than Deluxe, A Deluxe.
I agree. I would put it a little bit lower than 8 Deluxe, but that's just because 8 Deluxe is so good. It does feel a bit weird, though, that Nintendo's never gone back to the double dash formula. That one...
Yeah.
Even as a mode in one of the later games, a surprise.
It was a brilliant co-op experience as well. It was like... I remember I heard, I think it was Peanut Butter Gamer said it's the perfect little brother multiplayer game.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, you just get your... like one of you's driving, the other one's throwing items, and you can like swap them around.
But that's an. What about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle? Did you guys play it on GameCube?
I got it when I was 16. 16 as a gift from one of my exes.
Oh,
good
old Red.
I didn't know Red when I was 16.
Time travel.
That wouldn't be till 3 years later.
Over time travel. I really like 2 Battle. I think it's the best version of that game. It's also the one time they got the audio mixing right.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, how have they never got the audio mixing right in any other version of the game?
Yeah, I see like Sonic Adventure 1 and even the DX, even Sonic Adventure 1 DX, and I look back to these Dreamcast Sonic Adventure 2 and I just think, wow, I can barely hear anything they're saying. And even with Battle, I still don't think it was that great.
Do you know what? It was amazing. I got the Steam version like a few weeks ago. They still haven't fixed it on that.
Really?
It's actually worse.
I mean, what do you expect from the holy beast that is Sega?
Actually, that's an interesting point about GameCube. The third parties didn't entirely come back to Nintendo this time round.
I think definitely something that struck a blow with the GameCube was that Rare had been bought by Microsoft.
Yeah, and
consider that they were one of the massive players of the N64 era.
Can you imagine if Nintendo had got Rare? How different things could have been. Like, we could have had a Banjo-Kazooie game on... I think almost certainly...
Yeah, like, we could have had Banjo 3, possibly a new Perfect Dark, and a new Conker game.
I mean, maybe Rare was on the downturn, and Nintendo knew to dump it at that point, but... I mean,
I don't see how. They were still, like, very high. They're still, like, very high in terms of... At the end of the N64, like the last game we got from them was Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I mean, I get a sense with Rare, it was a case of Nintendo supervised them a lot better than Microsoft have done.
Well, yeah, because Microsoft are now only for the entirety of the 360 era that they were either making a shit Banjo-Kazooie racing game or just Kinect games.
So, on the basis of that, well, I mean, Sega certainly supported the GameCube quite heavily. They launched with Super Monkey Ball. They had the Sonic games go on there quite a bit. But then again, Konami wasn't really a factor on there.
Square, but we did get Twin Snakes.
Twin Snakes came on. That was pretty good. I know I still prefer the original PlayStation 1 game, but Twin Snakes is all right. In fact, actually getting that MGS2 camera makes it worse, in my opinion, because it kind of breaks the game. Square Enix did come back to Nintendo, but only for a couple of spin-offs. They weren't really a factor in the GameCube.
Capcom was alright with the GameCube. We got a couple of Resident Evil games.
Yeah, no, Capcom really supported the GameCube in a big way. It almost felt like their console.
You say that, but lest we forget the Capcom 5.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the Capcom 5.
Two also went to PS. Two also went to PS2. One was cancelled. One remained a GameCube exclusive, but was shit. And one more I can't really remember.
The Capcom 5. But there was more than just the Capcom 5. There was that Mega Man Battle Network game.
Weren't those Game Boy, the Battle Network games?
There was a spin-off on the GameCube as well.
Ah, right, okay.
Which, Reese, I think you played that one.
Yes, I did.
What was your thoughts on that game?
I thought it was good, but it's not the same as playing on the Advance.
Yeah, the Advance definitely felt like the home for Battle Network.
Yeah.
What about, and then of course, wasn't Beautiful Joe one of the Capcom 5?
Yes, that also went to PS2 if I remember.
Yes, it did.
I definitely would think though, if you looked at the sales of Beautiful Joe, the GameCube probably outsold the PS2 version.
Maybe.
In spite
of
the
PS2 version did have Dante though.
No, actually, I'm thinking about it. Maybe it did, because again, you've got a bigger install base on the PlayStation 2. And of course, and again, that shows a point, like, even though Capcom was involved quite heavily with the GameCube, they did give their two biggest success. They gave their biggest success on the GameCube to PlayStation eventually, and they kept back one of their other biggest titles of that generation for PlayStation, which was Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
I mean, Resident Evil 4...
However, GameCube did get the Resident Evil 1 remake.
Yeah, and what a thing to get.
Which is still to this day one of my favorite Resident Evil games. Probably only beaten by Resident Evil 7.
Have you, Reese, have you played the Resident Evil 1 remake?
Yeah, it still holds up fantastically well.
Have you got? Did you guys get the Switch version of it?
No, I haven't.
Not.
Oh my god, you guys got the OLEDs now. Get it on your Switch OLEDs. It is phenomenal with an OLED screen.
Alright, I'll keep that in mind.
It is so good with that one. But it's amazing how they took that classic and updated it in a big way.
Yeah, like essentially it was a complete from the ground up. Like they changed not just the cutscenes and the presentation. They've added in more monsters. They completely redone all the voice work. It went from kind of a sort of an 80s B-movie Evil Dead kind of thing to a legitimate horror game.
Speaking of also the Crimson Heads, they made you really rethink about how you were going to approach that game. Like, I could go back through that area, but there might be a Crimson Head there because I know I killed a zombie there like a while ago.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. And then let's not forget about Lisa Trevor.
Oh god, yeah.
Still my favorite Resident Evil monster, I'll be honest.
And of course, any talk about Resident Evil on the GameCube is incomplete without talking about probably a real contender for the best Resident Evil game ever, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, Resident Evil 4, to me, stands up so well. Even to this day, I still think Resident Evil 4 is one of the best... one of the best Resident Evil games ever made.
Definitely.
I'd say it's definitely in my top 5.
I'd say the ones I always say when we talk about best Resident Evil games, I'm always going to say it's either 4, 7, or 2 Remake.
Honestly, for me, when I think of the best, I say it's normally 2 Remake, 7, or the Resident Evil 1 remake.
Oh yeah, the Resident Evil 1 remake I would probably put in that list. What would you say is probably the best Resident Evil for you, Reese?
I probably would go with 4, only because I've not played 7 or 2 Remake. Because also what 4 did as well, it had tons of unlockable costumes as well.
Oh yeah.
Weapons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
so
did.
it had massive replayability.
What I think is great about 4 is that it's a perfect blend of action and horror that I don't think we saw again in the series until Resident Evil 8, really. Yeah,
I feel like the Resident Evil 8 gets that bounce quite accurate, but I do think my biggest problem with I think like Resident Evil 1, if you want to know how well they did with the GameCube hardware, look at it on PlayStation 2. It looks crap. compared
yeah,
to...
pretty much everyone says that. Pretty much everyone always sees. There's a reason why everyone sees Resident Evil 4 more as a GameCube game than as a PS2 game.
I mean, most people say the definitive version of the game is on Nintendo Wii.
I honestly, I do agree with that.
I think I agree as well. Which...
Because look at the Nintendo Wii, you just have access to the Wii Pointer, which makes aiming so much easier.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of amazing. But speaking of legitimate horror on the GameCube, we've got to talk about Eternal Darkness.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, did you guys actually play Eternal Darkness?
No.
No, but I did have a friend who owned it.
God, it was... it's a game I so want someone to do something with Eternal Darkness, like remaster it or remake it, do something with it, because it's so cool in every sense of the word. Like, imagine what you could do like with modern sanity effects.
Yeah.
The thing is, we do have that. It's called Amnesia.
Yeah, but the thing is, with Amnesia, it borrows so much from Eternal Darkness. You could have relabeled it at release as an Eternal Darkness game, and no one would have told the difference.
The trouble with Eternal Darkness, though, if you ask me, I don't think the gimmicks will work as much nowadays, just because we've seen so much of them.
Yeah.
Like, back then, it was scary because it was new, it was unique. You never seen something that not only affected with the game world, but the real world. But we've seen that a lot in gaming nowadays. Hell, Batman Arkham Asylum did that.
One of the things I find interesting is Nintendo actually copyrighted the term sanity meter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No, so you can have these kind of mechanics, but you can't call it a sanity meter. So that, I mean, it doesn't help that the devs who made it are no longer part of an active studio, because Silicon Knights died with their magnum opus, Too Human.
Oh, I forgot it was them who made that game.
Yeah, no, I forgot it was them for ages, but
yeah.
Incidentally, they had an exhibition match on GameCube Madness, which was Resident Evil Remake versus Eternal Darkness. And I think I'd still vote... I think, as much as I love Eternal Darkness, I still think I'd vote Resident Evil Remake out of those two.
It's easily Resident Evil Remake for me. As I said, the gimmicks in Eternal Darkness probably wouldn't work too well nowadays. Resident Evil still works phenomenally well.
I'm assuming you're the same, Reese?
Yeah, Resident Evil is more of a complete package of a game.
I also think like Eternal Darkness, you do get used to those things after a while. Like it's very hard to shock you the further you go down it. Like at the minute you're going to realize, okay, it's not really deleted my save data, or it's not really turning down the volume of my television.
Yeah, and then like. And meanwhile, Nia takes it a step further by actually deleting your save data.
Shit, I forgot about that. And Hellblade does it as well, actually. It will delete your save data if you die too many times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it really emphasizes do not die too much or you are fucked.
Well, let's just be glad that Metroid Dread didn't do that.
Yeah, oh, thank God for that. I died so many times playing that thing.
Damn you, Remy!
Incidentally, there was an accessory there was a few accessories for the GameCube other than the Game Boy Advance player, and there was one that allowed you to connect the Game Boy Advance for certain games. Now, I never owned one of those. Did you guys know anyone who owned one of them?
No.
As I said, I'm the only person I was the only person I knew who had the GameCube, so no.
No, I didn't know how many people who had Game Boy Advances either. Weirdly.
Yeah, I knew a ton of people who had Game Boy Advances.
But incidentally, I had the two. I kind of wanted it for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, but I never could get the multiplayer going with that one. Less so about the remaster, the better.
I only really would have used it for the Pokemon games.
There was also it was used for Zelda 4 Swords Adventures.
Yes, actually, yeah, that's a good point.
And then it was also used in Wind Waker for the Tingle Tuner.
Oh yeah, it was. I forgot about that.
Oh god, Tingle Tuner sounds so dirty.
The one thing I will emphasise though is I think the big difference is, and the reason why when it was the Madness exhibition match, I would have said Four Swords Adventures over Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is, even though I think Crystal Chronicles, when you have the 4-player multiplayer working, it's a better game. Four Swords Adventures at least has a very good single-player experience. So
I just need to step out for a second. I'll be back in a minute.
no problem. So that's
Eventually, Unprofessional, everybody.
the single-player experience in Four Swords Adventures outdoes it entirely. Like, if you play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles in single-player, it's not that fun of a game, as we discovered when we played the Switch port.
Yeah, the only, of course, the only version of Crystal Chronicles I've actually played is the Switch, which is very unfortunate. Playing single-player, that's just boring. Like, you don't get that full feeling of teamwork at all in it. It's just bland and boring, and I hate it. That game, but that goes just because the Switch version of the game sucks anyway.
Yeah, but it's not help. But I think a lot of that alleviation for the there are problems with the Switch version. A lot of that could have been alleviated if we'd had access to that multiplayer experience like it had been on the GameCube. I mean, you get multiplayer, but you can't all go on the journey together.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like for example, take Mario 3D World, for example. That has online multiplayer, and you can all go on an adventure in that. Yeah, it's all linked to one account and one profile. We can still do that.
Yeah, in fact, my cousin was actually up recently, and we actually did do 3D World online multiplayer. I can't remember we did wireless communication or online multiplayer, but we did one of them. I think we did online because I thought it would be a bit more stable. But I was able to help out her new game by joining in, so I could get her a few of the collectibles and all that. But the point is, she then had that permanently on her file, or she could join in mine. It was real ease of use. Yeah.
Meanwhile, what Crystal Chronicles do, lobby systems.
I hated it so much.
That you shouldn't have lobbies in a cooperative game. It's just stupid. What
about Four Swords, though? I mean, Nintendo's never really returned to the Four Swords formula.
That's because I don't think it really did too great. The original Four Swords was just a side mode in the Link to the Past GBA version, and the Four Swords Adventures was one actual adventure, and I don't think that sold too well. And I think Nintendo probably more blaming that because people don't. They think, people don't like the whole cooperative side, rather than the fact that getting the game to work and the hardware for it was very difficult.
And the thing is, I feel like it's not as if they haven't had consoles where multiplayer would have worked well. Like the Wii, I mean, you could have maybe got a Four Swords game on there, but I think, again, it wouldn't have worked in Nintendo's direction at the time.
I mean, I think the big thing with Four Swords is that you use a GBA to have because they have separate screens, so that you don't have to go do split screens, so that people can do whatever they want and not affect the overall screen on the TV. At Nintendo Switch, separate screens. It can work now.
Yeah, I feel like the Switch is a really great place. I feel like maybe a Four Swords game should come to Switch.
I feel like I think they kind of experimented with that with Triforce Heroes.
That didn't sell very well, though, to be fair.
Yeah, that did sell well, so maybe that might have killed it. I don't know.
I do think another one to consider, though, is the Wii U might have been quite a good place to do it.
I don't know, because you can only use one gamepad per Wii U.
Yeah, it would kind of rely on potentially really relying on online multiplayer, which, again, I don't think Nintendo wants to make a game that really relies on online multiplayer.
The only game they really have that does that is Splatoon.
So,
and I guess Smash Bros.
Which, I mean, it's kind of interesting that we've gone this long and we haven't really talked about the first-party games that were on GameCube. But I think it was important to emphasize that the third part. I've always said this: the console lives and dies by third-party support more than first-party support.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why things like the Wii did so well, and the Switch, and yet the Wii U didn't.
Yeah, because the Wii U did not have that great third-party support. They kind of didn't know what to do with the console.
The Wii U, I will admit, still didn't have great first-party support. Like, we still got...
Guys.
Reese is back.
Hey, Reese. Like, we still got Splatoon, Mario Maker, I guess Bayonetta 2.
Well, yeah, but that was still a third-party.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles, yeah, that was... But, Reese, we were discussing Four Swords briefly, but we were saying the Switch might be a really great place to bring back Zelda Four Swords.
Oh, definitely. Because the last thing we went back to that formula was Triforce Heroes on the 3DS.
And we pointed
that.
And we pointed out that didn't really sell very well, so that's probably why it didn't.
It's kind of a shame because I like the idea of Triforce Heroes. I just didn't have anyone to play it with.
Well, here's the thing about Triforce Heroes. I mean, the three of us could do it, but if, say, Ren wanted to join in, like, say, if we made a modern version for the Switch, they kept down to 3 players. That means...
I'd like to say, that is a massive if. Do you really think Ren would have a 3DS?
No, I'm saying if they made a version for the Switch, I feel like limiting that multiplayer would actually make things worse.
Yeah, you need the 4-player multiplayer.
So,
although, let's face it, multiplayer won't be as bad as Crystal Chronicles on Switch.
Oh,
we were slagging that off a ton before.
Jesus, yeah, no. Shall we... but I think the thing we need to really discuss is the fact we barely discussed the first-party games on there. And the thing about this GameCube was it felt like every single franchise Nintendo was famous for made a reappearance in some form on there.
They legitimately did. The only things that didn't really were things that came out after the GameCube.
I suppose there wasn't a mainline Kirby game on there, but there was Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels weird to me that Kirby was on every console and then kind of skipped the GameCube.
I think at the time they were thinking maybe Kirby fit more of the portable treatment because it was only 2D games and I feel like it was selling more on portable anyway.
No, that's definitely a point.
Because the closest we got to 3D was the 2.5D Crystal Shards game, if you remember.
Well, that's of course until The Lost Kingdom comes out.
Yeah.
Now, there was... Donkey Kong was kind of on there briefly.
Yeah.
Donkey Konga.
Controller.
Oh, did you guys ever get that?
No.
I did.
Is it good?
It's quite good, but the one thing I don't like about it is the American version of the game had a better soundtrack than our one. For one thing, the American one had the Pokemon theme on it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Oh my god, no way.
And the European one didn't, and it was so annoying. But I mean,
we also get Donkey Kong Jungle Beats, which was like a platformer that used the bongos.
Yes, yeah. And then they made a new version of it for the Wii.
Yeah.
So before we get into, I believe, Nintendo's big hitters, there were a couple of new franchises that kicked off on the Nintendo first-party franchises that kicked off on the GameCube. Most notably, Pikmin and Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And before anyone comments, I know Animal Crossing was on N64 in Japan, but for America and Europe, GameCube is where Animal Crossing gets its start.
Yeah.
So, I mean, years later, how do we feel these franchises... Well, one of these is now a big hitter for Nintendo. And another
it's up there. I say it's up there with like Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon.
It's amazing how long Pikmin's done, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Oh, poor Pikmin. Like, I do feel like it's a bit of an underrated franchise.
Yeah. I will admit, I wasn't too... though at the same time, it feels like a game that some people... That is kind of mixed with some people. Like, some people would think, oh, the Pikmin AI isn't that great. And that would ruin their ruined their game experience. That was kind of like me. That was kind of my thoughts on it when I first played Pikmin 3. Because don't get me wrong, I adore Pikmin. I think it's an absolutely amazing idea and an amazing game. I just think the Pikmin's AI takes me out of it a little bit.
Which is weird, because I feel like Pikmin 3 has the better AI compared to Pikmin 1 and 2. I mean, here's the thing, though, on that one. Would either of you guys take, say, you think you prefer either of the GameCube Pikmin games to Pikmin 3?
Probably not.
What about you, Elliot?
No, probably not, no.
Me either. I still think Pikmin 3 is the best one of the bunch.
Yeah.
Which brings me on to Animal Crossing now. Have any of you guys played the original GameCube Animal Crossing?
No.
My first one was the first DS game.
I played the DS game first, but I did. I'm certain at some point I did play it on GameCube.
I keep seeing it in CEX for a ludicrous price, and I'll be honest, I am tempted to give it a try.
It does. I mean, the original one does have some good qualities, and it was Nintendo kind of testing the waters for the idea of the virtual console.
Yeah, because you could play NES games in it, and if you use cheat codes, you can even add in games like Zelda.
Yeah.
Like, that was a big deal, because Nintendo had not been very backwards compatible at that point, so to have that on there was a big deal. What other franchises were on? F-Zero GX. Like, if you weren't playing Mario Kart, that was the race to play.
The last F-Zero game.
Like,
such a shame.
And it is so good.
It is good. It is great. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then the only thing we heard about F-Zero afterwards was the amazing Japanese anime of F-Zero.
Yeah, which I still haven't got around to watching yet.
I haven't seen that yet. It's actually good.
It is good, but it's so meme-worthy. Because it's one of the massive memes of the Falcon Punch, because that's where it comes from in the meme sphere. Because it's the final scene of the anime, where Captain Falcon destroys an entire galaxy just for a Falcon Punch.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Gavin, don't beat your heart out.
The Mario parties. There were three. There was, how many Mario parties? There were 4 Mario parties on the GameCube.
4. Yeah.
And they were all really good.
I've never got around to playing the GameCube Mario parties. It's one of the games I'm hoping to stream when I start that.
Yeah, it was also the start of the day and night cycles of Mario Party that they didn't bring back. The future ones, if you remember.
I mean, Nintendo have done a bunch of games. Each Mario Party has gimmicks that never really came back into any of the other ones.
Yeah, but the day and night one was definitely one I think they could have kept in. That was very popular.
Yeah.
Especially just like one board or two in future games.
Yeah, like maybe just, as Ray said, maybe like 1 or 2 boards. Like I think they're kind of doing that with the remake of Horrorland in Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah.
What do you? There was also I think one of the things I really liked though with the GameCube. We briefly talked about Luigi's Mansion. How do you feel like Luigi's Mansion, the original one, holds up now that we've got Luigi's Mansion 3 on Nintendo Switch?
I still think it holds up really well.
Yeah, going back to playing modern times, because it did get the re-release on the 3DS.
Which wasn't very good.
It's actually a really short game if you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
like, I think, even if you don't know what you're doing, I think it's only like 4 hours.
Yeah, like it was one of those, it's kind of a tech, it was not only was about, it was kind of a tech demo. The release, they wanted to launch it with the GameCube. Release date's coming up, we've got to cut some content. I do think that was meant to be a longer game at the time, but I must be honest, as much as I like the original Luigi's Mansion, I think if I'm going back to any of them, it's Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would say that, though honestly, the original is still my favourite, just because I feel like it's the closest to an official, to an actual horror game created by Nintendo.
Yeah, no, the atmosphere is a little bit better in the first Luigi's Mansion, I'll grant you that one. Now, there was also... What other Nintendo... Now, before we get on to the big 3 Nintendo franchises, their 3 biggest hitters, was there any other big first-party games that were on there?
Star Fox.
Star Fox was on there, yeah. Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, and then we also have the Fire Emblem games that were dead popular. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn.
Oh, God. Try getting one of those.
Try getting one of those nowadays. They are so fucking expensive.
Like, God, I really want to play those games, because especially it's the one that Ike appears in.
Dawn of Radiance, that one is, right?
Yeah.
He appears in both.
Oh,
because Path of Radiance is the prequel to Dawn. So Path features Ike as a young man, and Dawn features him as a full adult.
And of course,
I would love if we got remakes of those games. I feel like, yeah,
and the franchise that we owe Fire Emblem success in the we're always going to get onto the franchise that Fire Emblem owes its success to in the West, but
also one I really want to another franchise I really want to mention, Pokemon.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big three, so we're going to get to that one in a minute.
Oh, really? That's one of the big three? I thought not that many people really knew about the Pokemon games on GameCube.
Yeah, but if we talk about...
All Pokemon fans do.
Yeah, but what I'm basically saying is, if you look at Nintendo, their three biggest sellers in anything are Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. So you always look at a console saying, what was it like for those three franchises? Everything past Nintendo 64, I always say, what was the Mario games? What were the Zelda games? What were the Pokemon games?
And Smash Bros.
And of course Smash Bros. But there's always one per console with that one, so it's what was the Smash Bros. So speaking of which, we'll get to that one. So Pokemon, I think we should start on that one because they were kind of spin-offs on the GameCube, but we also got the closest until the Switch came out of 3D Pokemon adventures.
It is honestly shameful for me to say that Colosseum was really the first Pokemon game I ever played. I
would not say it's a shameful thing. Well, you get into the franchise is good by my means.
Because I never got the GBA till it was, I think not that long before the DS came out, and I didn't play any of the actual Pokemon games until Diamond and Pearl. Honestly,
now
I spent all that time playing these spin-offs.
Let's talk before we talk about the second one of those, which is one of your favourites, Elliot.
Yeah.
Let's talk Pokemon Colosseum. Did you play it, Reese?
Yes, I did.
So, good points and bad points about Colosseum.
Well, it had a very interesting main character to begin with Wes.
That's true.
I love the darker setting.
Yeah.
For it.
Wasn't a huge fan of the stealing Pokemon mechanic because it kind of limited what your team could be made up of.
I did like that, and I didn't mind the limitations because it sort of meant you had to think a lot more with what you could do. And also, you need to remember, it's not one of the actual Pokemon games. It's not one of the official Pokemon games. It's meant to be a spin-off. It's meant to be something, this is just something fun for you to do. Something fun for you to do while you're waiting for the next game.
So, Reese, what was your thoughts on that mechanic?
I thought it was good because it also tied in very thematically to the core of the game, with Wes being a member of the evil team before defecting.
Yeah,
stealing the Snagging Machine.
Team Snaggem, I think they were called, yeah.
Oh, that was the worst name for any of these teams ever. Also, I did see, you remember what the bad guy looked like in the game? The guy with the purple suit and the big lightning hair.
Yeah, I remember him.
I remember someone said, "Who let Ansem Riku into Pokemon Colosseum?" But the one thing I'll say against Pokemon Colosseum, which I think XD did better about this, there wasn't much multiplayer in it.
Yeah.
There wasn't really, and in order to do multiplayer, it kind of required you to have the Game Boy and Game Boy cable. Yeah. Yeah. No, you at least could have the. You at least could do 3D Pokemon battles with your Pokemon from the Hoenn games. But at that point, I'm kind of wondering why don't you just get a link cable and do it on the Game Boy Advance? It's not like Pokemon Stadium where you've got all these events in and you can use some of the Pokemon that you you weren't necessarily using as much, but they now have a usage because they're a lower level, so they can enter these events. I think it's because with Colosseum, the biggest draw of it was the adventure.
That is true.
Because it was the one GameCube, it was the one home console game that had that massive adventure.
Then, of course, there was XD Gale of Darkness. Elliot, why was this game better, and why is it one of your favourites?
Wow. First of all, it was so much easier to fix the shadow Pokemon, because like in Pokemon Colosseum, for people who don't know what I mean by shadow Pokemon, essentially shadow Pokemon are Pokemon you have to steal from other trainers. With shadow Pokemon in Colosseum, the only way you can really purify their hearts, which sounds like something straight out of Kingdom Hearts, is you have to try. You just have to battle them with them, which is takes a very very long time, especially if you want to purify the hearts of like Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. Meanwhile, in Gale of Darkness, you essentially get like after just the first boss, you get like this machine which purifies the hearts of shadow Pokemon much quicker.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the battles were way better I think the story's a little more interesting.
They expanded the shadow Pokemon's moves a lot more, because like before all you had was Shadow Rush. This time there's a lot more shadow moves, and especially mechanics like, it's super effective against non-shadow Pokemon, but against shadow Pokemon it's not very effective. I really like things like that. Yeah,
and I also think there was a lot better challenge without being really difficult. There
was a lot more variety of Pokemon as well. Like we got Pokemon from the Kanto region as well as Hoenn and Johto.
Now, here's a point on that one. I do think the biggest improvement was the fact Colosseum has some real bullshit in it that XD really downplays on.
Yeah.
Did you play much of XD, Reese?
Yes, I did. I thought it was really good. Did you guys see Sugar Conroy's playthrough, by the way?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Well, one of the running gags is that the AI is that dumb in Gale of Darkness is that they always use normal type moves on his Mischievous. And he actually had a counter for every time it happened. It got to nearly 30.
Oh wow!
Yeah, no. Yeah, so the AI wasn't the best in those games.
You did have to get to a later stage before the AI got better.
Yeah,
but I also think it's the closest. Both of those games are the closest we ever got to a Pokemon post-apocalypse.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was a very different sort of environment to your typical Pokemon games.
As I said, both games were a lot darker as well than normal Pokemon games. Like the whole idea of the whole idea of the Shadow Pokemon was that they were being corrupted to essentially become war machines.
Also, I love the emphasis on both games on double battles. Like that was one of my favourite new mechanics.
Yes, I love the double battle mechanics.
Now, I remember in Colosseum, your starter Pokemon were great choices. You got Umbreon and Espeon.
Oh yeah.
Who did you get in? What were you?
It's actually kind of funny because I learned that Psychic beats Dark, Dark beats Fight. Sorry, Dark beats Psychic, Psychic beats Fight, and Fight beats Dark. Before I learned Grass beats Water, Water beats Fire, and Fire beats Grass.
You have a very different introduction to Pokemon than the rest of us, Elliot.
A great one. I still have a great one.
Who was your who did you get as the starters in Gale of Darkness?
Jolteon every time. Every time I picked Jolteon. I think I picked Umbreon and once I picked Flareon and maybe Vaporeon. But I've played the game probably 7 times, almost every time I go for Jolteon.
Yeah, because you start the game with an Eevee and have the ability to choose any evolution partway through the story.
Which evolution did you pick, Reese?
Jolteon, because it's statistically the best.
I picked Jolteon, but that's because Electric is my favourite Pokemon type.
Yeah, and that game is what made Jolteon my favourite evolution.
I would say Jolteon is still my favourite, but the close second is now Leafeon.
Because close second for me will always be Umbreon. I use him so much in Colosseum.
Yeah, Umbreon's still my favourite just because he's such a tank.
I imagine there is someone at Nintendo after Gen 8 when we got a new evolution and they just went, this got a little out of hand.
No, I have a feeling that one of them would just go, How about a dragon one?
No! No more evolutions! I can't retrace this anymore!
But I've already started work on a rock type.
So that was Pokemon on the GameCube. Zelda...
there's also Pokemon Channel.
Oh yes, Pokemon Channel. I got Pokemon Channel.
I never got it, I'll be honest.
Did you get Pokemon Channel, Reese?
Yes, I did.
The recycling of Meowth Party that never made it onto N64.
Was Pokemon Rap, was that on the Wii?
That was Wii, yes.
Wii, yes.
That was Wii.
For the record, Alfie was not happy we were talking. Alfie was not happy we were talking about Pokemon Channel.
Come here. No, he's just in the cat outside.
A cat! I thought you said a cow!
What the fuck did you think?
Why is there a cow walking by Reese's window?
Yeah, just turns out I'm recording you building a farm.
He's recording on his own Pokemon Ranch.
But that came on. Pokemon Channel, a lot of people sort of really don't like it, but I actually thought it was alright as a fun spin-off. I wouldn't mind another one.
It also gave you access to Manaphy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I liked the fact it had that brilliant Pichu Brothers short in it. Although,
I feel like that's probably the reason why a lot of people weren't that big on it, though, because it wasn't really a game. It was mostly just a bunch of shorts for you to watch.
Like, I feel like if you re-release that now as an app in eShop, it would go down a little bit better.
But no, Nintendo, they would overprice it.
I mean, they would probably overprice it, but even then I think people would be a little more forgiving. Mind you, we're trying to deal with the crowd saying, Metroid Dread isn't worth $60. Oh, fuck off.
Replace Metroid Dread with Skyward Sword, and then I'll start seeing your point.
Oh, yeah, there's one franchise we didn't talk about. Metroid came back in a big way on the GameCube.
Oh, my God, the Prime series. Holy shit, I love them.
Now, we actually had a bit of a conversation about this like a week before we did this podcast, and the one games we were really raving about so much when we were talking about is Metroid Prime 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people...
1 in particular, I think.
Yeah, I don't feel as many people are as nostalgically... what's the word I'm looking for? Amazed by Metroid Prime 2. I feel like they go back to it now and they're like, I'm not sure this is as good as I first thought.
Well, the problem I have with Prime 2 is that there was so much padding.
Oh, yeah,
between all the temples.
Yeah, like, there's definitely not as much of that in Metroid Prime 1. And it's especially weird considering Metroid games are meant to be beaten quickly.
Yeah.
Are they really? Because pretty much all the Metroid games I play have taken me ages.
No, but
just keep getting lost.
Yeah, that's the problem. But the thing is your rewards get better in Metroid games the faster you beat it.
At the end screen, you get closer and closer to seeing Samus in a Zero suit.
I will. That's one. I'm not going to go into spoilers for Metroid Dread actually on that one, but
I'm still barely anywhere in Dread. I'll be honest.
You're in for a great time, Elliot. Me and Reese have beaten it. We loved it.
Oh, trust me, I'm in love with it already. It's my best side scroller. I'll say that much.
So, on that emphasis, Prime 1 is so phenomenal.
It is, like, amazing, yeah. It's one of, if not my favourite first-person shooter.
It did so well in saying... Because a lot of people at the time were really sceptical about the idea of turning Metroid into first-person, but they really captured the qualities of Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion, and they put it in this 3D space.
Yeah, the house was just so atmospheric where there was a data log for everything.
Legitimately.
And there was so much emphasis put on like how the visor would be affected depending on what environment you were in. Like it would steam up or freeze over.
Sometimes there would be like lightning. You would see Samus's face for a second.
Yeah, I never was observant enough to get that. I've only ever seen that because people have frozen it in place.
All right.
Oh god, yeah, no. Metroid Prime probably one of the best GameCube games ever made.
Yeah, easily.
I really hope that what I've heard is absolutely accurate, and next year we will be playing a remaster of that game. because I'd love to have that on the go.
100%. I'm hoping at some point we get all the games on Switch. I know it'll be a struggle to get 3 on there, but it will still be really cool.
If what I've heard is correct, the plan was for Retro to make a Metroid Prime trilogy for Switch, but then
they started working on 4.
And they didn't have enough time to do all 3 of them, so they said, let's just finish 1. Which, I mean, let's be honest, if we were doing the Metroid Prime trilogy, we'd spend most of our time on 1 rather than on the other 2.
Yeah, we would.
So the next big franchise for Nintendo was Zelda, which Zelda came back in a big... We always talked a bit about Four Swords, so we won't repeat ourselves on that one, but Zelda came back in a big way on the GameCube with Wind Waker.
Though not that many people, a lot of people were skeptical of it at first because they were hoping for this big, mature Zelda game when instead we got a kiddie cartoony one.
Yeah, because the main problem was that during the E3 footage we saw before Wind Waker, one of those shows more similar to Ocarina of Time.
I think that was that E3 or was that the Space World exhibit they did it at? It was one of it.
Sure. I think it might have been Space World.
But Rita's right though. They did show off that sort of rendering that made it look like it was going to be another Ocarina of Time, and then you get this game which is really not like Ocarina of Time. But it's kind of a proto Breath of the Wild in the fact you have all these explorable locations and all these mini islands that have mini dungeons in them. It's very proto Breath of the Wild when you look back on it.
Yeah, just with more water.
Yeah, a lot more water. And King of the Red Lions is probably one of the best companion characters.
I say he's only beaten by Midna.
Yeah, but that's when Midna's got enough snark to fill a river.
Yeah.
Whereas gameplay-wise, King of Red Lions does more to help Link throughout the adventure.
That's true. Also, the final battle with Ganondorf in that game is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thick Daddy Ganondorf.
If I say now, if we ever saw Ganondorf designed by Disney, it would be close to that.
Yeah.
And he'd be voiced by Jack Black. I heard a lot of people...
I don't know why. I have a feeling he would be voiced by Chris Wood.
Do you know one of the weird ones? I always heard darted around when we were thinking the idea of a Zelda movie. One I heard a lot was before he died, Christopher Lee as Ganon.
Oh, that'd be really good.
I would like that actually. Yeah, I would really like that.
Yeah, the only problem with that though is that Ganondorf's always seen in like the prime of his life, whereas Christopher Lee had a bit of an old man voice.
Do you know one I've actually thought of where I think people don't appreciate him for being a villain actor, but he'd be really good. I reckon he'd be really good.
Yeah, I feel like if he did like a voice like he did with Count Dooku, that would be really cool.
One I think would work, Daniel Craig. If you actually heard him as the villain in Tintin, he's actually quite good at playing villains.
Oh yeah, I've seen him in Tintin.
I bet you that they get Tom Hiddleston now though to do it. Or
Benedict Cumberbatch, I think it's Smaug.
Oh yeah, of course. Actually, now that you've said that, I wouldn't mind a Cumberbatch as Ganon.
Oh god! Just as long as he's not doing his Grinch voice.
On the subject,
I'm going to defeat you, like.
What about Wind Waker? How would we say we rate it in terms of? There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of bad in there.
Yeah, and a lot of the bad the Wii U version fixed up.
Yeah, like the speed, the sail speed, the mechanics were a bit better.
Force pieces.
Yeah, the tingle puzzles are a lot better in the Wii U version.
But it's quite funny because all the critics, they didn't know you could buy the new sail, so they still complained about the slow sailing.
True. But how would you guys rank Wind Waker though? Now that especially in a post Breath of the Wild world, how would you say Wind Waker ranks for you?
It's still quite high for me.
Yeah, it's definitely in the top 3.
It's very high for me as well. It's weird because if I revisit the 2 games that got Wii U ports, I think I have more enduring feelings towards Wind Waker than I do Twilight Princess. As much as I love Twilight Princess.
At the same time, Twilight Princess, they didn't really change that much with the Wii version of that. They just added in the stamps, really.
And they added in the extra dungeon, yeah, which... And
spruce up the gameplay, or not the gameplay, the graphics a little bit. But with Wind Waker, that was a massive improvement.
Yeah, and they also went back from the flipping in the mirror screen as well, compared to the Wii version.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone forgets Twilight Princess was on GameCube as well as Wii.
So are we going to quickly talk about Twilight Princess?
We will talk quickly about Twilight Princess, yes. How would you guys... have you ever played it on GameCube?
No.
I haven't, but I desperately want to.
I really want to play it with the GameCube controller. I think I'm going to have to wait till it comes onto Switch and play it with the GameCube controller that way, but even then I think I'd play it with a Pro controller.
Yeah.
It was interesting that they flipped it for the Wii version.
That's because in the Wii version, that's because Link's left-handed, so it would be weird for you to be playing. Most people to be playing with their right hand while Link's swinging with his left. So what do they do? Just switch it, just flip the entire game rather than the character model.
It's certainly an interesting way of doing it. I mean, I imagine the Wii U version was more based on the perspective of the GameCube one then.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely tell that the Wii U took more inspiration from the GameCube than it did from the Wii version.
I must be honest, it was really good that if you couldn't get a Wii, and I remember the stocks were quite scarce when the Wii was first coming out, people could play this really great new Zelda game.
I mean, it's essentially like Breath of the Wild. It was originally meant to just be a GameCube game. However, the Wii was coming out around the same time, so we figured, screw it, we'll make it a launch title.
I mean, if it's rather like the... obviously, I feel like the emphasis on motion controls in the Wii version means that when you play with button controls, it's quite different. And it feels a bit easier because, again, it's something that's easy for button input. Mind you, that being said, I played Skyward Sword button inputs. It did not help things that much.
Well, at the same time, the Skyward Sword had more of a reliance on motion controls. Twilight Princess could have easily just played that with button controls. Yeah, no, that was a big difference. Skyward Sword really emphasised motion controls. What do you guys... well, I know you guys know how I rank Twilight Princess. How would you guys rank Twilight Princess?
It's probably my favourite Zelda game.
Really?
It's my favourite Zelda game.
Oh
it's definitely my favourite. I fucking love that game. Trust me. Until I first played Dark Souls, that was my favourite game of all time.
My God, these two agree on something. Something has happened.
The world... What, Cthulhu?
No, when we're on the subject of that one, the one criticism I have of Twilight Princess is it's so trying hard to be Ocarina of Time.
I don't really see that, honestly.
Reese, what about you?
I can see it a bit, but it does go off in its own direction, especially with the addition of Wolf Link.
And especially really emphasises story quite in a big way. I mean, there's a reason why the manga adaptation has taken so long.
Oh my God, I think outside Skyward Sword is my favourite Zelda story.
Yeah, I'd agree. I feel like Breath of the Wild's collective story might become my favourite, but with Breath of the Wild, you have to go and seek out that story.
Yeah, meanwhile, with Twilight Princess, obviously it's just that.
Especially because Breath of the Wild, you can just skip 90% of the story anyway. Just go straight to Ganon.
Oh, that's true.
Just go there in your underwear with the twig.
I'm here!
Breath of the Wild twig run, let's go.
Oh God, I'm never doing that.
I mean, I joke, but you know someone's going to do that. Someone out there's going to do that.
Well, they have tried. It's actually impossible.
Oh my God! Oh my God! What person is doing that?
They tried it with the full barbarian set to get the attack up, and a full inventory of mops. Because mops do slightly more damage, but all the mops broke before they killed Ganon.
Mops.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's all hoping to lull him into a false sense of security.
I mean, they can always just do a bomb run, just throw nothing but bombs.
Yeah.
Incidentally, that's what this run is. It's a bomb. What about then? The obvious one to talk about now is Mario.
Mario Sunshine, yeah.
Yeah, Mario Sunshine, which is a bit of a divisive game overall.
Some people's favorite 3D Mario game, but there's also a lot of people's least favorite.
Okay, is it either of you guys? What is it for you guys?
I say for me personally, it's middle of the road. It's a good game, but there's also a lot of parts I don't like about it.
Personally, I do really like it, but when it comes to 3D Mario, it's easily my least favorite.
I would say, my opinion agrees with Elliot. I like it. It's a bit of a middling game, but it's also my least favorite 3D Mario. And I would say I'd include Mario. I'd possibly include Mario 3D Land in that. It does feel to me like even playing it on the Switch, it does feel like the physics are a little bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the areas where you don't get flood. Like, the controls are a little too precise in those areas. So as a result, I've had a bunch of them where I've just jumped off the edge because I couldn't see properly where I was going, or it was too much emphasis on the jump.
So you could argue that those sections are the catalyst that led into Mario Galaxy, which is still my favorite 3D Mario game. Actually, my favorite Mario game ever, really.
Incidentally, Reese, what's your favorite 3D Mario?
I'll probably go Galaxy 2, just because Galaxy 1 has Spring Mario, which I hate with a passion.
Wow.
My favorite's Odyssey.
I thought it would be, honestly.
But
I've not actually finished Odyssey.
One thing I'll say is, between you two, I prefer Galaxy 1 to Galaxy 2, because I think Galaxy 2 doesn't play enough with the space theme. I don't like the hub world in Galaxy 2, and I think Galaxy 2 is too easy.
Yeah.
But I also understand why people like it, and the Yoshi riding mechanic is great in it.
And it also has the hardest final level in any Mario game.
Oh yeah, they didn't have any difficulty up until the final level, and suddenly now they turn on the difficulty button.
Especially with the green star where you get 1 hit point.
But
it's kind of the backwards version. It's kind of the backwards version of Darksiders. The beginning is the beginning is pretty difficult, but then down the line it just gets easy.
So what about
This is coming from someone who likes Darksiders, by the way.
Also, another thing I don't like about Mario Sunshine. I'm going to quote Peanut Butter Gamer for this one. Is the fact that you have to get the shines in a certain order in each level. I can't get the third shine when I'm doing the first one. I have to get the first one, then I have to get the second one, then I get the third. I have to do the harder the bits I'm struggling at. I can't just say, well, I don't want to get that star just yet, I'll get that one instead. And some levels are really locked off as a result.
You could argue it's the same in Mario Galaxy, but those levels are designed to be more linear than Sunshine is.
So it feels like it's a bit easier to learn.
Sunshine is essentially a linear path disguised as a hub world.
So, in regards to...
But just to circle back, one thing I haven't mentioned is how much of a ball ache was getting all the blue coins.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Like, why did they not improve that for the 3D All-Stars? That would have been so much better.
You say that, but they did. You say that, but come on, they didn't even improve the camera in 64.
That is true, and the camera in 64 is crap. What about in regards to Sunshine as well? It's the worst one to go for 100% completion. Not just in how difficult it is, but you get fuck all as a reward.
Yeah, you get a Hawaii shirt and sunglasses.
And a postcard.
Oh, yeah, the postcards.
Meanwhile, with I guess with Mario Sunshine, you all you really got was the ability to talk to Yoshi once.
That was 64.
No, 64. It's not Sunshine.
Yeah. That's still better than Sunshine.
In Galaxy, you got to play the entire game as Luigi. And honestly, you got Peach's Castle as a level.
And even in Galaxy...
Which is essentially like getting Green Hill Zone in Sonic Adventure 2.
And in Galaxy 1 and 2, you get a whole super levels to do it. And 3D World has some great extras for getting all the green stars and the stamps.
Yeah.
Well, I really... That's one of the things I really hate about Sunshine. I will never 100% that game. Just because I'm a perfectionist. I feel like with Sunshine, I'm happy to beat it. I'm not happy to complete it.
Yeah.
So, also, the Sunbird levels can officially die in a fire. My God, whoever designed those.
You say that, I say the pachinko levels are worse.
Those are even... both of the people who designed both of those levels, I am going to find their names and I am going to put them on a Death Note someday.
To quote Tear of Grace in his Sonic Unleashed playthrough, whoever made those levels, they better be fucking homeless.
Well, we all know who really made those pachinko levels.
Konami.
Hashtag
fuck Konami. Do you know what's great?
The worst thing about the pachinko level is that you can die from fall damage just by falling into the holes.
Do you know what? Do you know what the things are?
Dumb. I hate it.
Do you know what's amazing? You guys will love this. I've been playing Bloodstained Rich of the Night, which is the successor to Symphony of the Night that's been done. The creators take a shot at Konami in that by making one of the optional bosses a pachinko machine. It's the best thing ever.
Oh. That is amazing. It's like in Metal Gear Survive where they left all the messages essentially saying MGS killed in action.
That was always hilarious. Shall we talk there? I think the one game we haven't mentioned is the big multiplayer hit, Smash Melee. Now, Smash Melee, I mean Smash 64 was there, but...
Wait, Smash Melee? I thought that the big multiplayer game was Shadow the Hedgehog. I'll be honest, shit on that game all you want. I do like the multiplayer.
The multiplayer's alright, but 2 Battle was better.
Yeah. You're both wrong. It's clearly Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, Sonic Heroes multiplayer is all right, but
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk Smash Melee. I mean, Smash 64 was there, but Melee made the modern Smash formula as we know it.
I mean, if you think about it, it was the original Smash Ultimate. They took in all the characters on the stage from the previous game and added more.
Incidentally, before we go any further, who was our mains in Melee?
I think mine was Link.
Mine was Link too. Only because once I unlocked him, I thought, I've got through that hell, I'm not using anyone else.
Who was it, Reese?
Mewtwo.
I went with Pikachu.
I think mine. Actually, wait. I think mine was either Young Link or Roy.
Yeah, because I was going to say, to unlock Mewtwo, you had to do 24 hours worth of matches. So I was like, once I unlocked him, I was using no one else.
Do you know what's amazing?
Because I thought, I've unlocked him, I have to go through that crap. I deserve it.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to unlock Mewtwo when I played it. I just played the game and I was just like, oh, it's Mewtwo.
So there was a lot of good. I mean, it had a decent single player experience, but its multiplayer was great.
The multiplayer was the minis for which is funny because I only really played Melee multiplayer with my brother a few times. My main multiplayer experience when it came to Smash Bros. Outside of Ultimate is Brawl. Because I used to go to my friend Sean's house and we would play that game literally all day.
Yeah, I was always saying online multiplayer was great for me because it meant I could play more Smash with other people.
Yeah.
It's
but the big problem with Melee, though, it did fester one of the most toxic Nintendo communities.
Yeah, still to this day.
Yeah, no, I love Smash, but it's kind of hard to... It's still to a certain extent, in spite of the revelations, I really love Pro Smash as a format. I love watching...
Which honestly I find kind of funny because when you look at a lot of the other fighting games, a lot of them are really nice. Like Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, they are legitimately really nice communities. Like I've heard someone complaining because when he's dying online, and he's not going to Street Fighter, people online just go, "Great game, dude, but you need to work on this and that." I'm just like, I don't want you to give me advice. I want you to shit on me. Stop making me feel bad.
So,
whereas compared to Smash, we have Prince Andrew.
Oh God, yeah. Now, to be fair on that one, I feel like I don't want that minority of arseholes to bring down the entire Smash community because I love playing Smash Brothers, and I want there to be a successful scene. I want there to be a successful and healthy scene where people can feel safe to play Smash.
I mean, I'm just happy that whenever we've, like, the couple of times when we've gone to tournaments to play, the people who we've played against have been really nice.
Yeah, like when Reese lost that match to the Palutena player at the very last minute when he could have get it to double time, there was still just an emphasis of, oh damn it, I really didn't want to do that.
Yeah, like I still remember the guy who played Donkey Kong and made it to the finals. He legitimately came over to us and legitimately said to me, I think you're going to beat me in the next game. And just like, he was just really, like, they were all really, really nice. It's just say, there was no feeling of, fucking shit, what? That's not fair. We were just like, oh, good game, nice one, good going.
Oh no, I can think of one example. Remember that time when we all played it and it was like 8 players, no items off? And
oh my god, that guy!
That guy was just the worst.
Reese just ganging up on him and causing him to rage quit. I remember one time, he was kicked up and he just shouted, "Fucking Lucia!" I was right next to him. I was playing Lucia. I was trying my best not to burst out laughing. And
it was you and Bowser. You kept getting him with the double down thing.
Yeah. He legitimately just rage quit.
I genuinely was so tempted to dob you two out on that one, just see what would happen. But I thought, oh god, I'm going to get sued if he kills either one of these two. Incidentally, though, on the subject of Melee, we talked a lot about Ultimate and how much we love Ultimate. Do you guys feel any emphasis to go back to Melee when people say, like, it's the best one, apparently?
No.
It's like, yeah, I don't really like the fact it's so fast and the mechanics are so speedy.
If I'm being entirely honest, I feel more of an urge to go back to Wii U than I do with Melee, and I don't really have any desire to go back to that one.
Now, if I was going to go back to any of the Smash games prior to Ultimate, it would be Brawl, just for the single-player experience of it.
Yeah. I will say, though, me and friends, like a couple years ago, decided, you know what, we're going to go back, play Brawl, see how, just play through the single player. We played for about 20 minutes. We could not stand how slow it was.
Yeah, I think they tried to to make it a bit more accessible by slowing it down, and they overcorrected.
Yes.
I mean, we'll obviously, when we discuss the Wii at some point probably next year now, we will say what we think. We'll probably talk a bit more about what we liked about Brawl. But I feel like with Melee, it is a bit of an overrated game now.
Yeah, definitely.
Like when there was those Melee tournaments getting cancelled last year, I felt bad for the people in it, but I also felt like, can you guys not just play Ultimate, because it's a much better game?
Yeah, and also too with the fact that Nintendo doesn't officially support Smash tournaments for Melee. Compared to PlayStation for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be interesting where the Smash scene is going to go now that it's not going to be part of EVO in the future, which is a shame because I love watching Smash EVO. But Melee not being there is going to be really, really weird because even though I think Ultimate's a better game and I would much urge to go back to that, it is still quite fun watching Melee tournaments, even if it is just Fox and Marth versus each other.
Let's be honest, it's always Fox versus Fox.
I actually did watch one. It was a Fox versus. It was a Melee. It was an EVO final actually, and the guy picked Pikachu to fight Fox, and he won. He won. He was the winner of the losers bracket, and he came back from out of nowhere, won 3 out of 5 twice in a row.
Actually, do you want to know something kind of funny? Back in Wii U, someone trained up a Fox amiibo and used him in I think one of the regional championships or something. The amiibo came third.
Holy shit!
Yeah, seriously, it actually ended up making it into the top fighters. It was insane.
So we've talked a lot about the GameCube. How do you feel like the console holds up with that library 20 years later?
I think it still holds up phenomenally well.
Yeah, definitely, because looking back on the library, it released over 600 games.
But it released a lot. And
Yeah.
do you think it had more to give when the Wii came out, or was that the time to move on?
I mean, I was still even when the Wii came out, I was still playing a ton of GameCube. So I still think it has a ton of stuff to give, yeah.
Well, what about you, Reese?
I think it was a bit overshadowed by the Wii, just because how colossal that was straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
Everyone buying one.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with motion controls. I mean, I applaud them that they made the Wii backwards compatible with the GameCube. But that's about it. So shall we talk that? So I think we now need to say five games, not necessarily all of them, but if we had to say 5 games that we think are the best on the GameCube, what would we say? I'm going to say, thank you, Resident Evil 4,
Yeah.
Wind Waker, Smash Melee, Metroid Prime, and Mario Kart Double Dash.
And Chibi Robo.
Oh yeah, Chibi Robo. We never even mentioned Chibi Robo.
Chibi Robo!
Oh no, what have we done?
We forgot Chibi Robo. We have never mentioned Madden away. Vince Young is in Smash Bros.
Well, it's time to restart the podcast.
Oh no. I'm so sorry, Chibi Robo.
All 2 of your fans.
Yeah, I found the amiibo the other day in CEX.
Oh, it was all battered and bruised.
No, he was in good nick actually. I just had to dust him off slightly.
You know, the thing is, you say that that's a good thing, but it was for Chibi Robo Zip Flash.
I know, but now he scans and gets me a Chibi Robo Spirit in Smash Ultimate.
Hey.
So he's now he's now useful in a good game. I also managed to find that giant Detective Pikachu amiibo.
Yeah, you share that before. Wow.
It's the size of my hand. God's sake. What about?
So Calvin, how's it feel to have a Ryan Reynolds amiibo?
It feels amazing. What about you, Elliot? What the 5 best games on the GameCube for you? No particular
you know what?
order.
I'm gonna do what you didn't. I am gonna rank them. I'm not gonna include Twilight Princess though, because that I do consider that more of a Wii game.
I agree. Yeah.
So my ones are Luigi's Mansion, Wind Waker, Smash Melee, Metroid Prime, and Pokemon X Gale of Darkness.
What about you, Reese? Have you got 5, did you say?
Yeah, but I'm not sure what order, but I do have the 5.
Okay, let's say...
I'll probably go with the Melee, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Metroid Prime, Resident Evil 4, and then I'm not sure any of us mentioned yet is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Oh yeah, Pro Skater 3 was on GameCube. That's a really good game.
Actually, you know what? We might have swapped Luigi's Mansion out for a Resident Evil remake.
Okay, I was about to say that's interesting. None of us said until then. None of us said Resident Evil remake. But I think we did a very good discussion on the GameCube. I think that worked out very well.
We have been going for an hour and a half.
So before we go, we've all now owned. Let's do a few news items there. We've all briefly owned the Switch OLED for over a week. How are you guys finding the OLED model?
It's so good.
I'm in love with this thing. Like, Jesus Christ. I've been playing it so much in the handheld just because of how amazingly different it looks.
Have you guys gone back to games that you did play in the previous one for comparison?
Not yet, I've not.
I haven't. I let my brother borrow Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, so I haven't yet.
I've gone back and played a bit of Smash Brothers, and I've played a bit of Monster Hunter Rise in it.
Yeah, I played Smash Bros on it. Yeah,
it does feel like a completely different experience playing that in handheld now, and one of the things I found amazing about it is it does really re-emphasize that the sort of like big deal of console games on the go.
Yeah.
Also, the stand. Oh my god, it is.
So
is. I want to make love to it all night. It is so good.
What about Reese on this one? Have you noticed the difference with the audio, the enhanced audio? How do you feel that stacks up?
The audio is a bit clearer, I found.
Yeah, I
And
feel it.
download. But also, the biggest difference I found is the battery lasts longer than 2 hours now.
Yeah.
I can finally play Monster Hunter Stories 2 without it running out of battery so quickly. Yes!
I could go like two and a bit hours, and it only reaches like 60%.
Yeah, legitimately.
One of the things I've very stupidly only just discovered is if you take the Joy-Cons out of the Switch, it actually has better battery consumption.
Because when the Joy-Cons are in, the Switch battery is charging them directly.
I assumed it would be worse for it because it would have to then do a wireless signal as well, but clearly I'm wrong on that one. So that was a stupid error on my part. Other thing is, of course, games we've been playing at the minute. Elliot's just finished Tales of Arise. That review is going to be online soon.
Yeah, spoilers for it. It's a contender for Game of the Year for me.
And one that's a Game of the Year for me and Reese, and Elliot's going to be joining us on this review, but he's just getting started on the game, Metroid Dread.
Dread has been amazing.
It's so awesome. I love it.
I think it's a Game of the Year contender for me.
Easily.
I feel like it's the last game to come out where it's going to really feel like that's going to be what we're getting from the industry at this time of Game of the Year contenders. So I
would say the same, but we still have Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Now the thing is, we're probably the next podcast we do that's not about an event might be about us talking about the Game Awards nominations and predicting where we think the awards are going. So on that basis, shall we now do a prediction of what six games get nominated for Game of the Year? Considering last year I did get all 6 right.
Somehow.
Yeah.
So what do you guys reckon's getting the nominations?
Well, Dread obviously, because it's got a strong female protagonist, which all the game journalists do love.
Yeah.
I think there's more than that's going to get Dread nominated. So I think Metroid Dread gets nominated. I think Ratchet and Clank is a dead cert.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise.
Monster Hunter Rise, I agree. I think that's getting the nom. I don't think Stories 2 will get the nom.
No.
It might get a nom for Best RPG, but that's where I think it's going to go. I don't think it's going to get the nom for Game of the Year.
Honestly, I have a prediction that Tales of Arise might get in, because that's got phenomenal reviews so far.
Yeah.
I think you're going to hate this, but I think Deathloop's getting the nom.
Yeah, from what I've seen, Chris has scored it 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It does not deserve that. I think I think those are the dead certs. I think it's Dread, Ratchet and Clank, Monster Hunter Rise, and Deathloop. I think those are the dead certs. What about Resident Evil Village? Do we think that's getting nominated?
Yeah, I can see that getting nominated easily.
I think Resident Evil Village, that's another one. So I'll put Resident Evil Village in there. So that was the 6th one.
I'm trying to remember what games came out. Yeah, good job. It's only your job to review these games.
I don't think Hitman 3 is getting nominated.
As much as I would like it to, I don't think Persona 5 Strikers is getting nominated.
I don't think so either. What about Psychonauts 2? Do we think that's getting nominated?
A lot of long-time fans weren't that keen on it with the new direction.
Yeah, well, they were wrong, but...
we've also got Returnal. That was a big hit.
Returnal's a bit of a dark horse. That might do it. There's usually an indie game nominated, but I think the only one that would now is Death's Door.
Well,
I know you would really like Ender Lilies to be nominated.
I would, but I'm not believing it's going to get nominated. This is not what we'd like to get nominated. This is what we reckon's getting nominated.
Yeah, probably Life is Strange 3 could get nominated.
I don't think it will. The reviews have not been as high for that one. And I don't think a narrative game is going to get the nomination.
You say that, but Last of Us 2 got one last year.
Yeah, but even then they could justify that a bit more with the gameplay. So I don't think Last of Us True Colours is getting nominated.
Near the World Ends With You isn't getting nominated, I don't think.
It'll nominate for Best RPG, but it's not for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
We got Pokemon Snap. That could potentially get it.
I don't
see
so.
that, honestly.
Best Family Game it will get nominated for, but not Game of the Year, I don't think. I've noticed we don't really have a Microsoft rep in there, and I think the two that it could have been are too late to get nominations, most notably
Halo 6.
Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. One I'm dreading, because it could be nominated, but I don't think it will be, Cyberpunk 2077.
No, I doubt that'll be nominated.
No, I don't see that.
At that point,
especially after the big backlash it got.
Yeah, at that point, if that gets nominated, that's it. Shut it down. That's you've lost all credibility in these awards the second that gets nominated. So I think we've got 5 of them. I just think we're struggling to lock in the 6th one. We got Dread, we got Monster Hunter Rise, we've got Ratchet and Clank, we've got Deathloop, and we've got Resident Evil Village. What's the 6th one? I can't figure that out. I reckon Reese might be onto it, and it's Returnal.
Yeah.
I could so see Returnal getting that nom. So we're going to lock in those 6 at the minute.
I feel like the last one would probably be another Nintendo IP. I just don't know which one.
No, I think Nintendo usually only gets 1 or 1.5, and really, I think they're going to get the 1.5 this year by having it be Dread and Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're locking in those 6. So our predictions for Game of the Year nominations are Deathloop, Monster Hunter Rise, Metroid Dread, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. That to me sounds about right. That if it was between those 6, I'm not sure how I would vote. It would be a close three-way tie for me between Ratchet and Clank, Metroid Dread, and Monster Hunter Rise.
Right.
Maybe.
What about you, Ellie? I'm sensing that obviously Monster Hunter Rise is not as big on your one, so at the minute I'm not sure how you would vote.
No, I'd say Monster Hunter Rise will be up there. I'm not calling anything. I'm just not fully too sure about that list. If only I can actually remember the shit that's come out this year.
Well, we will be talking about we'll obviously do a podcast when nominations come out, and we'll give our thoughts on it. We'll also do but obviously we're back next week for Anime Amigos. With
our first 3 episodes
of a bunch of shows, which can I say Reese has picked a very good one for me to do. And I'm certain I picked a very good one for Elliot. Ellie's picked a very good one for Ren.
Yeah, Ren's picked a good one for me.
But we're also gonna. But of course, next month by the end of next month we will definitely have at least one more of these out. So we'll speak to you very soon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Take care, y'all.